I love those. They're so much fun. Hola, people.
Howdy.
Hey.
Hello. Okay, so tonight's tarot show is gonna be really fun, and just with all of our tarot shows, if you have like a question, feel free to ask. If you want to throw in like a topic or a subtopic, a header for us to shuffle our cards and focus on, please do that because it's more fun when we have interaction and we have people, engaging with us and sharing. So tonight we thought we would do a show having some fun with the cards because a lot of people take the cards too seriously and they just don't have fun, and you can learn so much by simply getting creative and shuffling the deck, focusing on a question, and expressing the cards. Tonight we're going to have three expressions of the cards. We have the witch. The witch is an expression in this session. Oh, that rhymed. Okay, the witch in this session is going to be expression of magical application, a magical influence, anything pertaining to like the witchy world, something magical. And then we have the werewolf. The werewolf, of course, translates to like transformation, and sometimes that transformation is going to be very difficult, very challenging, angry, very healing too. So when we pull the card for the werewolf, that's going to be expressing transformation, and however the card pops up, whatever we feel, whatever we see, we will express, and that will fine tune the expressive nature of the transformation card. And we leave off with the spirit, and the spirit card is going to represent, again, it just depends, it could represent a spiritual message for the reading or the header, the subtopic, whatever that we do. The spirit could also represent something that the client or the situation needs to know now that they're in spirit form, or now that spirit has taken over. Things are more clear. They have more room to like move, so they're going to look back and be able to provide more guidance. And that's kind of the three cards that we chose tonight, which is going to be fun. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And remember, you can throw in like whatever, if you want us to shuffle on a certain subject, tell us. Right then, so I feel like I'm forgetting something. I feel like there was oh, before we get into this, let's talk about Zoe's question. Let's talk about Void Tarot when you don't feel connected, because she asked if we would talk about when you have a deck or when you're doing something and you don't feel connected and there's just that void feeling. There's like nothing you do. You don't get anything from the deck. You can't connect. Let's talk about that before we start playing with the cards. You wanna? What do you do, Miss Melissa? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, in my experience, if I can't connect with the cards, it's usually because it's a crappy deck. At least for me. You know, it might be an awesome deck for someone else, but for me, it just doesn't work. So usually I just stop using that deck and get another deck. But there have been times when it seems like the message is slower on some days, which could speak more to my brain than anything else. But some days the messages are a little slower. And honestly, I just take what I know about the card. I mean, you know, each card, you know something, or you should, you know, if you've got experience and you've been learning the tarot. I take what I know and go for it, you know, and make it work. And usually if I'm stuck on like one card in a spread, I'm like, okay, it's like, I don't like that card. It's like the 9 of Pence or something, you know, which is it's an interesting kind of fun card, and I know that it is a card that shows that, hey, you know, there's a lot of possibilities in the ways in which you can receive money. So I know that about that card. So if I'm stuck on it in a spread, I'll take what I know and work it in, and usually if I'm wrong, I'm made aware pretty quickly.
Right. And Mr. Hunter, you are fairly new to the tarot adventure, so a lot of people who are newer to their tarot experience, and even people who aren't, they have that. It's a common issue. So, have you ever had that experience where you couldn't connect to a deck? And what are your thoughts on that?
Um, yeah. So my thoughts on that were I can see how I see what Melissa's saying about some days are slower than others. As far as message wise, I had a big issue with tarot in general because I was using decks that just did not work for me. The first deck that I ever used was the Zombie Tarot, which is a really cool deck, but it's not really good for reading. I mean, and if you like Melissa said, it may be perfect for you, but it's not great. It was never great for me. I couldn't get anything from it. It was awful. Then I tried the Lord of the Rings Tarot, and I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so I still have that deck. It's like put up in storage, and I never use it. And then I got the Gilded Tarot, which it helped a little bit, and I learned a little bit from it, but there was too many blocks in my way, and I couldn't get past it, and I would try to force my hand at it, and to no avail. And then I got the Deviant Moon, and then it was like epiphany, like, whoa, I can read tarot cards, like, what the fuck? So, in my personal opinion, I do think that it is a deck. It's not all decks are for everybody, and once you find a deck that does, and then the Deviant Moon really it helped me learn enough to where I can connect with other decks, even if I'm not super, because I have some friends that have decks that I would never personally use, but I can read with them, just never have them and work with them daily. So I think that once you find your deck that you can like really work, it's good. So I think it's a deck problem. Yeah, and they're cool cards. Like,
they are cool cards. I don't have that one, but I think it's neat.
They're really, really cool cards. It's just they're awful to read with, in my opinion.
I like the deck, but okay, so I don't necessarily agree that it's a deck thing, but I do agree at the same time because it can be. I think once you find the key deck that opens up your like understanding of tarot, once you find that deck that really sheds all of those limitations and those beliefs that you created, and it opens up that experience, the more that you start reading and you trust that, you build confidence, and so you can take a deck and you can utilize it, any deck. You can read with this deck, and you might not like it because you're bored with it, you don't connect with the visual, but I believe that you can learn to read with any deck, and I'm going to sound probably like an asshole right now. I have not really ever had the issue with not connecting with the deck.
Diva over there.
Well, no, seriously, I've not really had that issue. I've had issues where I wasn't connecting with myself, or I didn't want to know a message. I was like, I ain't touching those cards. I don't want to hear you. So more often than not, I feel like it's not that you can't connect with the deck. I think it's that you don't want to hear what the deck has to say.
Well, do you think that is maybe the real issue on Void of Tarot or Tarot Void? Is that you're refusing to accept the message that the cards are giving you before nothing's happening.
I do. I think that is because, yes, we all have different imagery that we love and we connect with, but what it boils down to is what we just expressed, because you can look at imagery and read. If you're a reader, it doesn't matter if you like it or not, but the fact that you don't like that imagery is more of an excuse and like a crutch in a sense, where you're like, I don't like that imagery, it doesn't work well for me, so I don't, and when you take that off, the core is, I don't want to hear the message that this deck has the ability to offer me. I don't want to hear it, so I'm not going to connect with it. And sometimes when and this is not always the case, but sometimes when we connect with imagery that we don't like, It's because we don't like it because it's not just that it's not pretty to us. It's more so that the imagery surfaces stuff that we don't want to deal with, or it brings up emotions or beliefs or just stuff that we just don't want to look at. Like we don't want to do it. I find because I'm rambling, I find that decks that people don't care for, when they start using them, they get more from it. And if they don't use them, like, and this is something I do, and you may want to try it out or not, but if you know there's a person that doesn't like a certain deck, you can use that specific deck to actually get to know that person's energy even better, because there's something in that deck, there's something in that imagery, there's something in that energy that individual is hiding from or doesn't want to face. So using that deck, especially in a reading for them, especially in a distant reading for them, like that, that you don't show them the cards, it can produce very, very beneficial results.
I agree, and then I semi-disagree, and I'll tell you what. I use, and Melissa can tell you because she has this deck now because I gave it to her. She can tell you how much I use the deck, just the energy of the deck, and how I mean, they're not really tattered, but they're used, and you can tell that, you know. Plus the card stock's kind of shitty with the Gilded Tarot, but I use it so much, and I tried, and even I would like talk to you guys about it, and I could get messages from the cards, but I could not read with them. That was my issue was I couldn't channel well with them, and it wasn't so much the imagery because they're similar to Rider-Waite in image a lot, but not the artistic wise, but like image wise.
Right.
So then, you know, like I said, nothing was happening no matter what. And it wasn't that I disagree. I like it. I think it's a pretty deck. I think it's wonderful. I like the imagery. It just nothing was happening. And then, like you did say, you found that key deck that kind of unlocks the door to tarot for you. And that really was the Deviant Moon for me. And now I do see how once you learn one deck, it's so much easier. And then you almost get an addiction to wanting to know different energies of different decks and things like that. Yeah. But I will say that even sometimes when you like the imagery and you think the deck's wonderful, and I'll say that sometimes some decks just don't mix well with like the reader.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I personally do not enjoy decks that you switch around the elements with the suits.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And those decks I just won't read. I'm sorry. It's not necessarily that I can't read, but in a way it is that I can't read it because it's like, no, that's not what this card means. You know what I mean?
I do.
So, in that way I disagree because it's just like, no, I don't like this. And it could mean that I am a more traditional type person. Very much could be. But at the same time, the whole feel of it is weird.
Yes, and I'll agree with that. But I see it slightly different. Y'all, we be disagreeing and agreeing at the same time. This shit is crazy. But I see it, the way I choose to view it is slightly different because I agree with that, like, completely. But I don't think it's something that you can't do. Like, it's not that you're not connecting with the deck. It's not that you're not reading. But the way we're wired, like, the way we choose to be wired and the way that we work things, we have to have a certain, like, layout. It has to be a certain organization. And so when we have, like, this card supposed to be fire, but they made it air, when we're, like, working with this deck, that energy is, like, it's neutralizing us. It's counteracting what we are trying to do. Right. And so you have this, like, almost this challenging of energies. So it's not that we can't read with or connect with any deck. It's that there's a way we like to do it, and there's a way we don't like to do it. And if we want to work with the elements like that are shifted, we have to change perceptions. We have to shift our identity. We have to shift certain things that we believe, which is why. Like, why do it when you don't have to? But if we were ever in a position where that's all we had, boom, we can do it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I don't think it's about where we can't connect. It's about where we currently are and what we like to do. And Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
It
with
is.
the with the Lord of the Rings tarot, the King of Coins, or the King of Pentacles. I can't remember if it's Pentacles or Coins with that deck, but it's Treebeard. And if any of you have read the stories, I just don't understand why Treebeard would ever be put with the King of Pentacles, and it pisses me off. So right there alone, I can't read it because I'm a fan and I'm trying to read it at the same time. So it just messes with me, and I just can't do it. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. I can't handle it.
Well, Solaria says that Mandy C, a YouTuber I follow, actually brought up an interesting point similar to the one you were making, Michael. She has issues with the Rider-Waite spell check deck. Something about it makes her feel very off, and she was making a point that some cards were worse for her than others, and she realized she was projecting her own past as the victim onto the cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good word.
That was really long.
That absolutely, and that's so true, and that's kind of where there's just so much you do. But when reading, you have to learn proper discernment, because when you're reading for yourself, yeah, you're projecting, you're seeing yourself in the cards. But when you're reading for others, and you have to remove yourself from the situation, see the cards for what they are. But the Rider-Waite deck is so raw that it does have that natural ability to bring out and pull out everything that you are. It's so interesting.
Last week during my card of the days, every day last week I chose to use the Rider-Waite deck, and it was heavy. The messages were very heavy. They were very transformative. They were very dig deep inside yourself and pull shit out. Another another deck similar to that in a way is the Deviant Moon. I see them very, very similar in that way, because they'll cut you where you need to be cut and then make you heal yourself all at the same time. It's like slash and slam.
Yes. But I think like the Deviant Moon will do that, but the Rider-Waite will throw salt in the wound.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the slight difference there. Okay, so we've talked about that. Is there anything else you want to say on that subject before we get into the nitty-gritty?
I'm good.
Oh, right then. So do y'all have like a subject that you'd like us to focus on? Feel free to formulate and express whatever. If you want us to shuffle, focus on a certain subject, let us know. Until then, let's create something. So let's say we have a customer. That's interesting. So let's say we have a client who comes into us, and this client's name is Vivian. And Vivian has an issue, and her issue is what, Melissa?
Oh.
Think fast.
Her issue is her love life sucks.
And her love life sucks in what way, Hunter?
You know what I was gonna say? She's ugly. No, that's not wrong. That's not wrong. She's not, but she is. She's emotionally shallow.
Which makes her ugly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and she's coming to us because she wants to know how to change that.
Yeah.
So we have Vivian, who's ugly, apparently. She's emotionally shallow, and her love life is sucking, and not in a good way. So we will shuffle the cards, and we'll focus on Vivian, and we will talk to the witch, we will talk to the werewolf, and we will talk to the spirit. Melissa, do you want the witch or do you want the werewolf?
I'll take the witch. Why not?
Right then, I'll take the werewolf. And
Did we explain what the witch, werewolf, and spirit meant?
Where were you?
We did.
To our audience.
Yes?
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Oh, hell. Oh, hell. Okay, but we can do a refresher. So, as we shuffle. The witch will represent like magical influence. So the witch can represent magical action, application. The witch card can represent maybe someone is putting the whammy on Vivian. The witch basically is a card that represents the magic of the situation and magical influence, energetic movements of the situation. The werewolf, obviously, is going to represent the transformation energy of the situation, and the spirit represents the spiritual message or what needs to be seen that hasn't been seen. And Vivian ugly. Poor Vivian. Maybe she got to go to Mexico. Get some work done. Oh, we're going to... And y'all, and just to express, like, I know we're doing this and it's our perception, but sharing this show like this and expressing, you know, in this way, it also will help you in your tarot adventure because you can see, like, what we see in the cards and you can see how they can be interpreted, and then you can, like, practice on your own and you can develop your own way and express and learn from us. And just have fun with it. So it's not just a boring show where we're just expressing fun messages. No, it's something that is fun and something you can take and utilize yourself and add to maybe your understanding of the card. Solario is like, she needs to visit a Santero. Alright, so you got your card, Miss Malish.
Yes, I have my card.
Okay, what does the witch say?
The witch says the Queen of Swords, which is interesting because I drew this card the other day. I have a totally different deck. But anyway, so the Queen of Swords, this is what she needs to work on. This is something she needs to add into her life because she's dull and emotionally shallow and has, like, you know, the emotional, you know, equivalence of like a 3-year-old. So she needs to work on that. She needs to really kind of take a very intellectual look at herself and understand who she is and what she, you know, how she is presenting herself to other people, and realizing that is her biggest problem. She's kind of her own worst enemy. Not only that, but she really needs to start listening to people who are more aware of who she is other than herself. You know, people who are emotionally stunted tend to not understand that they are emotionally stunted, and she really needs to take a very logical and analytical approach to this. You know, understand that this isn't someone insulting you and saying, hey, look, you have the emotional capacity of like a, you know, teaspoon, and you need to work on that. And don't take it personal. Use it and be constructive about it. Take it and be like, okay, I understand that my emotional perceptions are crap, and I really need to work on that.
You know what's interesting about that card is also she might need to get a nose job.
She might.
Because, I mean, in all seriousness, like, the swords are knives. They are slice and dice. They're cutting. So it could be that in order for her to feel better about herself, in that way, like, to be open to doing certain things, there's something that she feels inadequate in. There's something that she is insecure about, and she might have to go under the knife to fix that. Or instead of a knife, it could be she has to go see like a therapist and talk to someone. Right. Another like a magical application that she might do is communicating with more air elementals, and she might have to go back to school.
Yeah, she might. Maybe she's also intellectually challenged.
But, well, she's ugly and.
She's got a lot going on.
No.
Yeah, she got some issues. Got some issues that need working out.
All right, so the werewolf, huh? Holy fuck. Yeah, the werewolf is about transformation. The King of Wands, reverse. And so we have, which is very interesting. So we have the first card, the Queen, the Witch, has an expression where, you know, crazy, you're crazy, and you need to grow up. And so the air, swords, air element, very powerful and just movement. Where we have the wands are fire, but we have a reversal of fire. So we have like a slower moving fire. So you have this air that's pushing and just going, and then you have fire that's not so bright, it's not so big, and so it's kind of just fizzling out. There's not a lot. It's blowing away. There's not a lot of heat, and so the transformation here is saying that she kind of needs to the King of Wands. Well, she needs a man, that's for damn sure, or a masculine energy. Maybe she needs, I'm not going to say what I'm going to say because people are going to get offended. So she's a masculine type energy. Very, maybe she needs someone who's a little more aggressive, a little more dominant. And I say that because in the reversal energy, the King of Wands is not as dominant, is not as aggressive, and the Queen, she needs her king, and the transformation energy here is saying that that's not happening. So, well, she ugly, so sad. But, but really, in order for her to like learn her experience and to grow and to find someone to love, she needs to realize what she's looking for, and what she's looking for is connection. She's looking for, but she's really not looking for a loving connection. She's actually needing support from a group. She's looking for friends, not just fuck buddies, but she's looking for an actual support group because she's going through a lot of shit. Her mom, she's not that bright. She's growing. She's a new energy and she's growing, and therefore she needs that support. So what's really funny? She could have actually been through a very traumatic experience, which really hurt her. So her growth was stunted, and she doesn't trust. So she's so self-involved because she doesn't want to trust anyone. So what she really needs right now, and I'm rambling, I'm sorry, but it is more fire energy, more progressive and creative energy. But she needs to get that from support group, and that's what's going to transform her. She needs to get this from a group of like-minded people who are trained and who are working with trained people to support one another.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Which leads us to the spirit.
The spirit. And what spirit is telling poor Vivian is Hangman in reverse. So Vivian's situation is a unique one because I think this hypothetical spirit, really wants to be better than she is, and she wants to find that connection, and she wants to feel love, and she wants to love, but she needs to, and this is straight up from spirit, and it goes along perfectly with the spirit archetype here, because she needs to look at herself in an entirely new perspective. She needs to look at the world in an entirely new perspective. It's not her thoughts going into a situation, whether it be romantic or anything else, are heavily determined by precedent in her own mind and in her own outlook of things because of what has happened to her in her past. And we see our first two cards kind of like pushing her in that direction to heal and to find that energy that will allow her to get into that space. Well, now she's kind of there, but now she has to look at the world and understand that people are not the way she was taught people are. She needs to have that epiphany. She needs to look and not with the eyes of someone in her past. She needs to look with the eyes of someone who is now transformed and has now gone through both the witch and the werewolf processes that each of those things entailed. And now it's time to make over her from the inside out. The hangman, when you pull it in normal, position, it's all about kind of you going through a process. This is the process going through you. In reverse, it's kind of you looking at yourself and forcing yourself to have that epiphany because it's there. You just gotta see it through the eyes of someone that is not been tainted by the world.
I like that. I also like that it's basically saying, because she's so self-involved and shit, like it's saying, okay, in order to grow from that, you have to like learn some more. You have to be a little more analytical, a little more logical around things. You have to change that passion, like that lack of passion, that lack of desire, and really get something dominating here. You need to promote this dominating, like very confident energy, and you need to find a support group. And then with the Hangman reverse is very interesting because it's saying instead of looking within, you've done the internal work, you kind of need to start acting. You need to you need to realize like the outside world is not as bad as you're making it out to be. And in order to find love, you kind of have to look outside. I mean, yes, you have to love yourself and you have that inward process, but you have to put yourself out there.
And I think she's shallow just because her nose is too big for her. I mean,
oh shit!
It really is. She just, I mean, she looks at the world like they're less than she is, and this card is kind of telling her, "Hold up, sweetheart, you're not as great as you think you are, and the world is not set by your standards."
And that happens a lot, especially, and there's nothing wrong with how you are and who you are, but people who, let's say her nose was really, really huge, and that was something for her, like that was a complex, but I have seen people turn that around exactly how we're expressing Vivian to be, where they think they're like the best thing on earth, they're God's gift, and they're beautiful, which who says they're not, but, well, anyways. But, they believe this and create this persona where their shit don't stink, and so they make everyone else out to be the asshole or beneath them, like you said.
Vivian is a Pisces.
Oh, God. Hilaria is like, no so high, if it rains she would drown kind of personality. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes. And so you can see how the cards express, like the witch, the werewolf, and the spirit. You can see how fun that is and how you can learn a lot from utilizing that just in your everyday work. I know y'all are watching, so do you want us to shuffle and focus on anything else? It can be it can be, personal to you. You don't have to tell us it's personal to you, or create up a situation, and we'll shuffle and we'll have fun. So if you have anything you'd like to add or anything you'd like to suggest that we shuffle on, go ahead and do it, and we will figure out who's doing the next set. Who wants witch? Who wants spirit? Who wants werewolf?
I want to do werewolf.
Do you?
I'll do spirit then, since I just did witch.
Well, then I shall be the bitch. A witch. The witch. Anyone at all wants to say, like, give us a situation, or do you have a situation that you want to just, throw out there and la-di-da? Because if not, we're going to have to figure out another person. We're going to have to...
I really feel like I could fix Vivian.
Okay, so, what?
Here's one. Jay's going to jail for harboring a minor runaway. He has no idea what to do next.
Dang. That's bad. This is completely hypothetical.
Well, Jay, stop harboring those minor runaways.
That's a challenge.
That's
Well,
interesting.
that is interesting because then and normally if we were to like do this like for a client or anything, there would be more questions we'd have to ask, like, okay, what, like, really, what's going on here? Is Jay related to this minor, or did he like kidnap this minor? What's there's so much that we would engage our clients with, but let's just have fun with it. So Jay is going to jail, and yes, this is a real life situation with more details. I'm not. Oh well, no worries.
No
So.
worries.
As long as you're not
That's
Jay.
a challenge because I know someone who was actually put in a similar position, and it wasn't like, people automatically think like very negative things, but it wasn't that. It was like a friend helping out a friend, but unfortunately, the friend that they were helping out was just a few years younger, and the the friend that was running away had meth addict parents. So they were running away for a reason. But yeah, anyways, enough of that. So, okay, I'm going to try one more time. And this probably is the wrong deck to use, but it's the deck that came forth, and I shall use it.
You're using the sex magic deck, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I am. Well, isn't that interesting? Huh. Okay, I have to think about this. I don't want to express this. That happens. Yeah. Okay, so. Alright then. So the witch expresses, which actually this card's not bad considering, the Seven of Swords reversed. Okay, can y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can see it upright and see what's going on here. But reverse, it's different feel, different energy. Okay. And so we know that sevens represent like troubles, they represent challenges, they represent like a fated path. They also represent like wisdom and understanding. And so right now the witch is expressing like there's a lot of shit going down, and unfortunately it is about someone trying to do good for someone, but it is not seen as that. And so sometimes when you put yourself in predicaments and you put yourself in a situation and other people view it and they see it, they judge it, and they manipulate and they try and like influence, and so they create a situation that is even worse. And they do it because they can. This right here, the Seven of Swords reverse as a witch, the message and the expression is more so about two people who were just trying to help each other out. It's not, this card right here, this expression is not sexual whatsoever. It's more about people viewing it as a sexual, experience or something like wrong, when really it was more so about being placed in the same environment for protection, and that was taken away from them. That was taken away from this person. So let's say Jay, their heart might have been in the right place, but they're getting fucked in a very horrible way. But this was more so like a lesson that needs to be learned. This is an experience that had to have happened, and magically to kind of buffer. The Seven of Swords says to cut ties and to do a uncrossing work, the witch expresses that what needs to be done is for uncrossing work to be done, to cut ties and to make sure that cords are released and energy is called back. So Jay needs to call back full energy to themselves, and they need to make sure that the energy, any energy invested in anyone else in the situation, is returned. And they need to focus on themselves. Now they have to look in the mirror and they have to face the sword that they created, and they have to take responsibility for the action of that, even though their heart was right. This world is just fucked up. So uncrossing and blessing work, for sure. The Seven of Swords says you have to separate. It's necessary to separate and work with a little more earthy energy and a little more water energy. You don't want fire. Fire's too much right now. Fire might overweigh and overpower the air. So definitely some water and some earth energy to worked in here. And okay, next.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned water, because the werewolf, the transformation, is the Ace of Cups, which is really interesting in this deck, especially because I don't know if you noticed the first thing that I kind of noticed about this card earlier. Looks like someone has cut her face. See that? That.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like sacrifice for knowledge in a way, or a sacrifice for a more emotional stability. Like Michael said, his heart, people's hearts were in the right place, but maybe, and yes, it's kind of a fucked up world, but maybe emotionally things could have been handled slightly different. And so to me, the transformation here is he's really going to understand more so after this experience that it wasn't so much that he wasn't doing the right thing. It's just emotionally it could have been handled from a different perspective. Emotionally it could have been handled differently instead of, allowing this girl who was younger than maybe what he thought, or maybe he knew, I don't know. But come over and stay, and stay with him, or even really getting involved. Maybe he should have, even though, it wasn't I can understand the right thing he felt to do was to take her home or whatever. What he should have done more than likely was just call her mom, or call the police and be like, look, there's this girl, she's run away, she really needs to go home. As much as that may seem harsher and not as directly helpful as what he wanted to be, maybe, but sometimes you just can't put yourself in that position. And so I feel like this is going to change him. This is going to change how he perceives things, and it may even make him a little harsher than what he really wants to be. Which sometimes isn't necessarily a good thing, but it may help him out in the long run.
Well, and as the wolf and the werewolf experience and the Ace of Cups and harshness, with Cups being so emotional and so, in a way, it's very submissive, it's okay to learn to be a little more harsh for this situation and this type of energy, because you need to know when to say no, or when to say go do this, or I will help you find this, but I will not take you blah blah blah. And yeah, so there's so much else that can be said, but I'm not going to. But yeah, that it's okay to be harsh at times and learn that energy, because you need to be able to boom, done, that's it. No.
Right. Well, it's like that saying, I'm sure everyone's seen the little memes, it's okay to say no whenever it doesn't feel right. And even if you feel like you're putting yourself in a position, if you feel like, okay, well, it doesn't really feel right, but I'm going to try to help anyway because I feel like I need to, now the understanding is there whenever it doesn't feel right, just say no. Even if you can't, you don't have to excuse it, you don't have to be like, well, I'm sorry, you don't have to make an excuse. or even justify it. If it feels wrong, then don't do it.
Right.
Exactly.
Which leads into the message of the spirit.
And this is gonna sound. I hate that this is like a real life issue somewhere. Because this is brutal. What the spirit is like putting forth for Jay. But the chariot in reverse. And that to me is spirit coming straight forward and saying, you could have had the control in the situation. You knew right from wrong, and you knew what was going on inside of you. Um, with that whole, it doesn't feel right. I know what I need to do to make it feel right, and what is the responsible thing to do, and the even though it may not be the nicest thing, and you may not be looked at as necessarily the friend in the situation, but the right thing to do. Spirit's saying, you have your left sphinx and you have your right sphinx. You have your black sphinx and you have your white sphinx, and you have to ultimately choose that. And the choice is yours to have the control, but you choosing the wrong sphinx, you choosing to do what would have been probably the easier route, because it would have it puts you in a good light with your friend. It puts you in a good light with this person that you want to help, because you do want to help, but the situation is not always black and white. A lot of times there's gray areas in both situations. Everybody has a story. There's the right way, the wrong way, and then there's my way, and then it's a million things going on at one time. But your gut and your spirit and your guides and everything were shouting at you and saying, if you want to keep control of this situation, you know what to do. And Jay did not listen to that, and therefore he lost control. And he needs to understand that in order to take control, be his own master, guide him in the right way, he has to be very responsive to that intuitive nature that is telling him really right from wrong. But in a situation like that, when it's so gray, that's when you go with your gut, because it probably will take you the way that it needs to go, to where you can be in control of the situation and not lose control and have adverse effects to where you're going to be in an issue legally, because there was a easier way to go, and that was just listening to your intuitive side instead of your maybe ego or whatever he was listening to.
Right. And the chariot reversed, and that also expresses next time you need to take some time to think.
Right.
Because the chariot upright is about movement. It's about not even considering shit, just going. Reverse, it's like, okay, you should. Things are gonna go slow now, and you should have taken some time to think. So it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate because of what I'm picking up on this energy. It's sad. It's very unfortunate, but things, again, with the sevens faded. Things happen for a reason. There was a purpose for this, and next time when in any sort of situation, and a lesson for everyone is we have to really think before we act, especially when our gut and our instincts kick in, and it's telling us one thing, but we really have a heart. We want to do good, but even sometimes it doesn't feel good to do good, if that makes sense. Sometimes you have to say no, and sometimes you have to be like, I can't get involved with this situation. Sometimes you have to really deny drama, and it hurts your heart because you want to do good, you want to be there for people, but you can't. You have to, give me a few days to think about this. Give me a few days to process this, and let's get you help. I'll figure this out. But you have to be where you are now. Go find a friend to stay with. Go do something else, or But here's, I'll do my best to help. So yeah. So the chariot reverse is definitely saying slow times ahead, and next time pay attention and take some time to listen.
And it's not bad to be this is gonna sound bad and so stereotypical of myself, but it's not bad to be selfish sometimes and think about your own skin. Um, because that really, you know, you're affected directly by the decisions you make, and sometimes it helps to be a little selfish and look after your own hide before you.
Yeah, especially when jail's involved.
Hell yeah.
Come on. And I just realized I totally stole the werewolf, Hunter. I'm sorry.
No, it really though. It worked out fantastic.
That's interesting. I didn't even realize that. Oh well, let's try this again. We'll do one more.
I'll be spirit and Hunter will be werewolf.
And I guess that leaves me with witch.
Oh, well, I can trade out with you if you want.
No, because you haven't done spirit. No, it's fine. I'll do witch again. So let's create another situation. Let's create a witchy situation. Let's do something like witchy. Okay. What should we name our next person? Y'all are no fun. Think of a name. Pop, pop. Let's go.
Declan.
Oh my god, okay. Declan.
Declan?
It's my nephew's name, so I don't know.
Okay, well then we'll skip the witchy thing because we have someone else who asked the question, so let's just go on hers. Let's say, how about, okay, Kay is about to move out of state, but she's a bit torn because she'll be relocating her aunt and uncle who are, where'd it go?
That's somebody who are both older and battling illness. Do you have it?
Yeah, she can't leave them, but she's devastated where she is now. So, okay, Kay is about to move out of state, but she's a bit torn because she'll be relocating her aunt and uncle who are both older and battling illness. Okay, I can do that. Okay. I will not use this deck. I'll save that deck for another time.
Okay, so the situation is she's about to move out of state, but she doesn't want to leave her aunt and uncle, right?
I think, from what I'm understanding, is she's going to move out of state. In order for her to move out of state, she has to take her aunt and uncle with her by relocating them, but they're really sick. So she doesn't want to move them?
Yeah. She can't leave them, but she's devastated where she is now. So basically, what she needs to do in order to
what does she need to do? Does she need to stay or does she need to move? Let's say that.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Kay. Let's go on that situation. I'll do witch and Mish. Miss Melissa, you stay off the werewolf.
Okay, I will. I don't know why I did that.
I wonder what
My
that's.
brain isn't working today, y'all. I'm sorry.
But it was so natural. So okay, and you know what that means though? Like when shit like that happens, when it just like takes over, that was just the process of the cards. Like it needed to be read and expressed that specific way.
And
That's
it
what
worked
happened.
so well.
It was perfect.
And you'll notice that happens in your readings. Like sometimes it just happens. Like you'll start to see things differently, and your initial layout might develop differently, and you have to honor that, and it's okay because usually that's spot on. Okay, all right. Let's see. K. That is very interesting. All right. All right then. I got the witch. Are y'all ready?
Ready?
Oh dear. Right, let's go. Okay. Oh. Okay. Ace of Cups.
Ooh.
The witch. The magic. The energy of the situation. Ace of Cups expresses that her desire to move is in alignment with everything, because she can't be in the present, where she can't be where she is, because it's not fulfilling her. You know, she has a new beginning. Aces represent new beginnings. They also represent like highly spiritual energies. So this her that push to move, to uproot, and to be happy, that's more of a divine shit. What's the word? Not calling, but it's almost like a what the fuck? I can't even express it. I'm trying to say law, but it's not a law. It's a command, like a. I'm trying to say it where it's not so like forceful, but whatever. It's a divine push, you know, in the right direction. And if she stays where she currently is, in a sense, it's gonna be very toxic. It's gonna be very harmful. The Ace of Cups expresses divine energy, new emotional energy, and she needs to move to be herself. She needs to move to be healthy. She is around people she loves, yes, but the people she loves are not doing well. They are ill, and so if they are ill and she's not in an environment that supports her, she's not in an environment that is going to uplift her, that also creates a form of illness, that creates energy stagnation, that creates resentment. And so in order for her to move forward, in order for her to like find her calling, she needs to move away. She needs to get out of her current situation, because the ace brings divinity, that brings angelic influence, and it brings emotional stability. And it brings, again, a lot of new energy. And for her to have fun, for her to play, for her to be where she wants to be, she needs to, again, channel that new essence, that fun and new energy, in order for her to get where she wants to go. So the illness thing, I don't think, and this is going to sound bad, but what's being said is that the illness really isn't the issue, and more so she says it's an issue because it makes her feel good about that being the issue. She feels bad in a sense for knowing that the issue is not that. She feels like it's a bad thing to think of herself in this situation, to be selfish, and it's not a bad thing. She needs to worry about herself, because if she's not taking care of herself, she can't take care of her aunt and uncle. She can't be there for them. If she is in a bad place, they pick up on that and they feel it. They, as her aunt and uncle, they want her to be happy, and they also realize in order for her to be happy, she has to be the Ace of Cups. She has to focus on that new developing emotional expression and take it, and move forward with it.
I love that.
Which, okay, Melissa, shh. Which leads into the where, unless you have something to say about the Ace of Cups, then it's all good.
No, you're good. You did great.
And so, which leads into the werewolf, the transformation, which is expressed not by Melissa, but by Hunter.
By me. Just as much as the Ace of Cups, I pulled the other end of the suit, the King of Cups. And I think the message here and the transformative process that needs to be made is that her name's Kay.
Mm-hmm.
Kay needs to be master of her own emotions and master of her domain. I think you expressed it beautifully with you can't take care of someone else unless you're taking care of yourself as well. I think that Kay gives a lot of herself to others, and that leaves her emotionally drained, and she can't master her own emotions until she starts looking after herself. So she needs to go through this transformative process, this werewolf process, if you will, to really become about herself a little bit. She needs to stand and feel confident and feel okay with that, because yes, in that situation, moving her aunt and uncle who are sickly and elderly may not be the best situation right now for them, but who is to say that if she mastered herself and went through this process and learned to depend on herself for these emotional needs, that the path would not lead her and her aunt and her uncle to a much greater island, if you will. We're crossing new territory. We're crossing the waters that seem to be rough at the time, but then once we hit dry land, it becomes all clear. And going to this new place, this new world, this new experience would make her master of her food, master of her domain, and her emotional troubles will no longer be an issue because clearly she's not getting along well there. So you're really picking between your health and two other people's health, and the problem is the caregiver's health in that situation is more important because without her, how can she take care of who will look after her then?
Right.
So I think that's the process that needs to be made.
And the affirmative, expression of that too. It's like you went from the ace to the transformation of the king. So that also expresses, like, if you pay attention to that, that's like the beginning,
right,
and the end. Like, you created, like, you jump really fast. Like, so to me, it says Kay is ready, and Kay has this energy where she can grow super fast. She just needs to step into it. Which, hey y'all, it's now time for Miss Melissa.
I don't like my card.
With the spirit. What?
No. Okay. Six of Swords. Can y'all see that?
Six of Swords. That's interesting, though, that picture.
That is interesting. Okay, so this is a message from Spirit, and what I'm getting from Spirit is you're going to be, or Kay is going to move regardless. But in order, like, Michael has already expressed that and Hunter has expressed, you went from ace to king. You're ready. You need to have control of your emotions. You need to, step forward. And in this card, to me, the way it is, as far as she's blindfolded, sort of chains, as well as being pulled forward, says that it's going to happen. The thing is it going to happen when you want it to, or is it going to happen when you're going to be forced to? And the situations that are going to force you may be not as pleasant as you would want them to be.
Yeah.
So you have a choice where right now you can make it and do this. Kay has a choice right now where she could do it either, in a happy place or in a not so happy place.
And
Yeah. So either way, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I see. I like that card, and I don't at the same time. And the six, and not to cut you off, and sorry.
No, go ahead.
But to support that, sixes tend to represent, like, the path of the seeker. So, and the way that you express that message, it fits that this is inevitable. Like, this is, like, she's gonna move no matter what. This is a part of her process, her plan. She can't deny that. But like Melissa said, are you going to do that from a happy place, or are you going to be forced into it? And by being forced into it, are you going to wait too long and not be happy and not be able to take certain people with you?
And it's interesting that card, not necessarily from the what's that deck called? The
Tarot of the Sweet Twilight.
Sweet Twilight. From other card perspective, that card to me kind of sort of gives me this weird puritanical escape religious stuff. Like, okay, it's stupid. The way I process cards is ridiculous for most people. Anyway, I see a great journey, but a lot of times it's out of absolute necessity. No way would someone move long distance to do something unless there was great reward at the end, or unless they're being oppressed where they're currently at, and freedom is across the pond in that situation. So
Right.
I think that's perfect. That's right now. It's we're happy that you have new you know, the ace, which is the new wonderful beginning, and taking control of that situation, and transforming yourself into the master of your emotions, and knowing when to act, and what's okay for you. And then, you know, if you'd much rather move in that space than when you were being oppressed out and having to out of necessity. So it's interesting. It's always three people mostly on the Six of Swords. So
Mhm.
that's an interesting card.
It is.
That is super. That is really interesting. Yeah, and so y'all can see how you can take just different aspects and start to expand on it, and how it connects with one another, and how you express something. It's really fun, and you tie it all in together. And that's kind of the point of reading the cards. It's like you create a story and you blend it, and it becomes beautiful. Whether it's a dark kind of beautiful or a light kind of beautiful, it's all beautiful. Um, Alexis Jade. We are actually finishing our show up, so we don't have time to do reading, but Melissa does readings, and she's really great at them, so you can go to thedreadfulmystic.com, or even deviantwitchery.com,
Well, she's got a special.
and look for the reading services.
Oh, thanks, guys.
But yeah, you can find her there, or if you need help, message the page, and we'll set you up with a place to get a reading. But absolutely. So with as we close up, let's give our peoples a project. So I want y'all to do a video response or even a blog response and utilize the witch, the werewolf, and the spirit. But let's create a situation. Let's create a situation for them.
Well, let's go back to the witchy one.
Declan.
Oh yes, the witchy. Oh right. So you have a witch, and her name. No, not her name. His name is
Declan.
Declan. It was like, what is it? What is it? Okay, so we have a witch, and his name is Declan. He has been out of sorts. His power connection and it's just been all crazy, and he's trying to figure out what's wrong with him, what's going on personally inside, that he can't connect with his power source. So you'll work with the witch and the werewolf and the spirit to help him find out what is going on, and to give him advice on what he can do to fix his current challenge. Does that sound good?
Wonderful.
That sounds good.
All right then. So y'all do that. Do a video or do a blog post, and put the link in the comment section on YouTube, or send it to us, but make us aware so we can find it, we can see it, we can watch it. But yes, Declan, power source is all crazy. He needs some help figuring out what's going on. The witch, the werewolf, the spirit will help him find out what's going on, why, and advice on how to make it all work. Alright? And if y'all have any suggestions on any other kind of tarot shows that you want us to do, feel free to message us, and feel free to comment in the video, so we know and suggest, and we'll do our best to follow through with that. But thank y'all for being here and sharing with us. It's been fun. Until next time.